Our next speaker is Dr. Sunesh Rajawasan. Dr. Suneth graduated in 2007 and completed his MCGP in 2019. Is now Secretary of the MCGP Board of Study and also an examiner and mentor in the MCGP course. He's a lecturer for both undergraduate and postgraduate medical professionals and known for his unorthodox and thought-provoking teaching methods. Dr. Suneth dedicates his efforts to improving access to primary healthcare through online platforms for some expatriate Sri Lankans and is active in social media as a health influencer known as Doc on the Talk in TikTok and the Doc on the Gram on Instagram. Dr. Suneth.
Good afternoon, my colleagues, seniors and juniors, and a very warm welcome to all our participants from across the waters. I hope you have enjoyed your lunch and your stay with us so far. And thank you, Dr. Flegg, for those kind words. I am honored and flattered in equal measure, and in some way, I am here to tell you through what is a deeply personal presentation on how my journey has earned me that introduction and how both the CGPSL and the MCGP course was instrumental in doing so. So recently, I made a very profound statement on social media that any monkey with an MBBS is not a GP. And I was given the kitchen sink for this from my colleagues and from any literally monkey with an MBBS who found it quite abrasive. And despite the threat of litigation by my colleagues, who, like I said, found this a very bitter pill to swallow, I strongly stand by this statement. Because it's true. Because I was once that monkey. Having just graduated from Manipur in 2007 and finished my training here, I too had cookie-cutter dreams of becoming a surgeon. And not even knowing really to the full extent of what that would entail, what training that takes place, or how you even become a surgeon, this was my dream. And it was 2 failed attempts at MD Part 1 surgery, which is a very common story for most of us in this room in the back, right? It left me questioning my life choices. And like a majority of other Sri Lankan junior doctors, there I was, opening a small clinic, a hole in the wall, and starting my private practice. So just to give an idea of where exactly I was, there are approximately 20,000 medical officers or doctors in Sri Lanka in active service, and it was quite shocking to know that there are double the number of quacks. This I learned yesterday. So like I said, 20,000 doctors in active service, of which 2,800 are consultants. To add to this, as per the 2021 annual report of the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, there are 3,800 postgraduate trainees involved in various areas of study. So where does that leave me? That left me in that gaping 33% of doctors who resort to opening a little clinic to make ends meet and to hold their heads above the water. The choice to be a private practitioner for most of us was one made of necessity, not of choice. It was while practicing like this for some time that I realized that if I were to stand above the rest, I need better skills. I would need to step up from being a private practitioner to being a general practitioner. But how? There was very limited choice through this from the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, from the PGIM, as both their courses were more inclined towards academic knowledge more than the impartment of skill. And skills were what I needed. And it's at this point that brings me to the most redeeming feature of the MCGP course that I would like to highlight. And this is its culture of inclusivity. In other words, the MCGP has no entrance exam to tell you that you aren't good enough from day one. The MCGP is meant to be a pathway to learn required skills to become a competent and safe GP. Not just acquire new skills, but hone your existing skills also. When every other postgraduate program available locally was demanding that the candidate cram in as much knowledge as he or she can memorize and replicate more than the other person, here was a course that said, hey there, you're doing okay. Come, sit with us. Let's learn together and do even better. Believe me, this is an alien concept for anyone who went through the PGI. So, I started my training in 2017, and never more had I felt like that monkey that I mentioned at the start of this. See, the thing is, we as MBBS doctors, as private practitioners, we think we know it all when it comes to family medicine. Simply diagnosing and dispensing and moving along is the facade that we've put up as private practitioners. And somehow, through this process, we fool ourselves into thinking that we're good at this. And after a few years of, you just keep putting the rinse and repeat cycle under your belt, and you start to call yourself a general practitioner. So I was no better than this at the start, but boy did I learn. Now, I learned the most from the two components of the MCGP that I know now are unique to it. The first of these was a study of medical ethics. Now, some of you may be thinking, I'm trying to say that medical ethics is not lectured in the other postgraduate GP courses. Rest assured it is. What's unique here is how the impartment of that knowledge takes place within the MCGP. How can I best explain this to you, how the study of medical ethics at the hands of my revered guru, Dr. Eugene Correa, takes place, and how it has had such a profound impact on both my life and work. I'll get to the slide. To put this in perspective, I'm sure all of you have heard of this new mind-altering narcotic that's making its rounds in Hollywood and the West, which was discovered by Amazonian tribes called ayahuasca. It is said that partaking it gives you a transcendent experience where you let go of any and all bonds with convention and embrace the light and discover your peace. Now, I don't know, I haven't had it, but I have studied ethics with Dr. Eugene, and I can promise you it's something very similar. It was a study of ethics with him that taught me the most valuable and life-changing lessons, such as how you treat the individual and not the disease. That alone is a profound statement. And how there may not be one correct answer to certain issues. And how working for the patient's benefit may not necessarily be doing what I think is right. And how to leave my ego, the most important thing for us as local medical officers, how to leave my ego at the door. And just like an addict going back for another fix, I now teach ethics with Dr. Eugene to the MCGP candidates. The ethics component has now evolved to a truly interactive learning experience where the candidates are encouraged to escape the confines of traditional thinking and try to approach ethical conundrums from a more holistic perspective. And if you scan this QR code, it will take you to a YouTube link of all our ethics lectures where you can see how we teach and how the interactive sessions take place. Do scan it now. Maybe when you have some time in the evening, go through it. They're very interesting. Some very controversial, interesting topics are discussed here. It is rewarding to see these candidates who have come through a culture of linear, bipolar knowledge acquisition try to grasp the concept of our learning techniques. Where there's no right, there's no wrong. There's no one book or one note to read from and memorize, and there are no hard and fast guidelines. But there is a dynamic that is gently cultured by the tutors to bring forth one's own moral compass, which in many has not even been tickled or pointed north in decades. If you, like I said, if you scan the QR code, it will take you to those lectures. Right, and the next component that made me who I am today would be the portfolio. So the portfolio was truly a challenge. Here was something that I had to devote an iota of time to every day and keep cultivating for a period of 2 years. Having started on this to avoid being stuck at the end of it, at the end of the course, I soon realized its value through the reflective component of this portfolio. Having to reflect on a positive or negative impact of your actions, on how your actions have had on a patient's course, is truly a humbling experience. The power of the written word when looking inwards on oneself, especially if you put pen to paper or type this, it's profound. With each reflection I wrote, I began to see more and more areas in which I needed to improve. It was a constant motivation to just keep doing better and better. And this exercise of looking inward helped me discover my key strengths and weaknesses. Thus, over time, it helped me embrace the former and mitigate the latter. Today, I don't have a clinic. I am possibly Sri Lanka's only GP, only postgraduate qualified GP who operates house calls exclusively. And it was the inward reflection of the portfolio that helped me identify that I am indeed capable of operating as an independent mobile unit and I don't need support staff, nurses, or even a clinic setup. It helped me find peace with the fact that I am capable of letting go of the norm. And I now interact with patients at a venue they are supremely comfortable with. That's their own home. My expertise is now focused almost exclusively on handling home care for Sri Lanka's elite and expatriate families left behind on the island. As you know, we had an exodus in the last 2-3 years because of so many crises that we went through that left behind a lot of parents of children who went abroad for greener pastures. Being in this niche, catering to our top 1% comes with its own share of medical and ethical obstacles. As you may well know, we are a small country, and a 5-minute conversation, actually try this while you're in this room, a 5-minute conversation with any random stranger will lead you to some common ancestry or association or friendship. Thus, maintaining doctor-patient confidentiality has become one of the biggest challenges. As I am referred to by word of mouth, the topic of how my referrer is faring invariably comes up. And it is largely thanks to the training I have received at the MCGP that I have learned how to waltz on the thin ice over these deep waters. I finished my MCGP in 2019. In 2021, with the skills I gained, I handled South Asia's largest COVID home care program with nearly 4,000 patients, mild to moderately positive patients, employing 80 other postgrad qualified GPs for a period of 8 months. By 2024, I am now the secretary of the MCGP board and also an examiner and mentor for it. The MCGP had such an impact on my life that I felt it was my duty to give back to the course and the college and its educators that took in that little monkey and taught him how to become a great ape. Thank you.